Hi, I'm Ty Higgins, Director of Media Relations for Ohio Farm Bureau. I often hear from farmers that they're not big fans of the media. Well, me? I'm a huge fan. After all, if there weren't any media, there'd be no need for Farm Bureau to pay a Director of Media Relations. But I do understand farmers' concerns. Almost every day there's something in print, on the air, or on the web that attacks farmers for a variety of reasons. But by far, their biggest complaint these days is that farmers are causing toxic algal blooms on Lake Erie and other Ohio waters. The worst offenders are the editorial boards at some of Ohio's biggest newspapers. Now, it's important to make a differentiation here. Most of the time, the reporters who write the news stories are pretty accurate and fair. Most of the time. But the editorial boards, the ones who write and publish the newspaper's opinions, well, let's just say many of them don't let facts get in the way of a good rant. In general, their solution to algal blooms is simplistic. Reduce nutrient loss from farm fields and the water magically becomes pristine. And of course, their preferred method to reduce farm runoff is to regulate farmers into submission. Stop fertilizing. Stop raising livestock. Problem solved. 2019 was proof that thought process simply doesn't work. Excessive rainfall in the spring kept farmers out of the fields to plant their crops and apply nutrients. In fact, manure applications were down 85%, and commercial fertilizer application was cut in half. Yet there was still a large algal bloom in Lake Erie. As a result, the complexities of water quality became more evident than ever, and continued research is needed in order to reach a long-term solution to water quality. A more thoughtful approach would consider that clean water and food production are equally important to Ohio's economy and communities. Food and water are two of life's most important necessities. Sacrificing one for the other is a really bad idea. And it's possible to have both clean water and viable agriculture. But thoughtfulness doesn't appear to be a strong suit for editorial writers. So here's my top 5 list of editorial board rants and why they're just plain wrong. Ohio has one of the most comprehensive regulatory systems in the nation. It starts with the mandate that no Ohio farm can pollute the waters of the state, and there are penalties if pollution does occur. By the way, the editorials almost always claim Farm Bureau opposes regulation. The truth is, our efforts have been aimed at making sure the regulations, when they make sense, actually work. This is one of the most often repeated falsehoods. Voluntary efforts by farmers are on top of, not instead of, Ohio's regulations. Trends show farmers willingly stepping up their games when new ways to effectively protect water are identified. The Ed boards often cite a figure of $3 billion spent to improve Lake Erie and claim there have been no positive results. Again, that is completely false. Of the $3 billion the Ed boards are citing, less than 1% went to help farmers stop nutrient runoff. That's not our analysis. That's what public radio environmental reporter Elizabeth Miller found when she dug into the numbers. There is some good news. Back in 2015, Ohio Farm Bureau began advocating for long-term funding to address farm runoff. Finally, under Governor Mike DeWine and the Ohio legislature, the H2 Ohio program will make significant resources available for a comprehensive approach to the challenge. Two anti-agriculture organizations, the Environmental Working Group and the Environmental Law and Policy Center, fabricated a report that they claim shows runaway livestock expansion in Northwest Ohio. Of course, the editorial boards immediately accepted that as gospel. The report includes dozens of unfounded charges about livestock producers and manure management. They're just plain wrong. Manure, when managed properly as farmers do, improves the soil, which helps water quality, and is actually part of the solution to water quality challenges. The activists and their mouthpieces at the editorial boards need a villain, and most often, it's Ohio Farm Bureau. They love to call us a powerful farm lobby. You know what? Because our organization is made up of Ohio's hardworking farm families and those who believe that agriculture is Ohio's most important industry, we are powerful. On key policy matters, Farm Bureau members study the problems. They come up with solutions. They talk to other stakeholders. And when they have their facts together, they engage with public officials to help them understand the issues and come up with workable solutions. That's called democracy, and much to the anger of editorial boards and farm critics, we're pretty dang good at it. So there's a quick look at some of the things editorial boards write that tick farmers off. And I understand why. The ed boards don't bother understanding the complex problems, and their solutions are simplistic and short-sighted. They're content to be the mouthpiece for angry activists and angry politicians. And in a world where few people trust the media, they're not doing their profession any favors. I'll close by asking you to do this. Don't just listen to my side of the story, and for goodness sakes, don't just listen to the editorial boards. If water quality, successful farming families, and a strong Ohio economy are important to you, take the time to study the issues and reach your own conclusions. And when you do, let us know what you think. We're pretty good listeners here at Ohio Farm Bureau. We're anxious to hear from you. Learn more about our organization and the efforts we're making for clean water all across the state at ofbf.org. And if you're not a member, get signed up and join us in representing those that feed our families, our communities, our country, and the world. I'm Ty Higgins. We'll see you down the road.